Good morning, everyone. This is my newest pattern that I've been working on, or my newest patch that I've been working on. This is the Truchet Pattern. It's that basic pattern. So I thought this would be a very interesting kind of patch because there's all kinds of crazy things you could do with this. The fact that it's a repeatable pattern that is uniquely different every time it switches out is the part that I like the most. So if I hit the beat trigger, I can randomly generate new patterns, and they also slide. So down here at the bottom of my patch, I have the option for sliding left to right and top to bottom. I also have the option of putting in a second overlaying option. So if I turn the opacity up like this, you'll notice that there's a pattern that's going over the top of it, and it's just a second Truchet. So I have some thickness that you can add to that. You can shrink it down to nothing. There's the option to change the curves. So I'm going to go back to the original, just the basic one. And the reason why is because for clarity's sake, if I change my background curve, it will change it more to a square-like shape. And likewise, I also have one going the opposite direction. So now you have this, it's still the Truchet pattern, but it's making it into a square instead of a round circle. So I thought that was visually interesting. Also, there is the option to change the outline size here if you did not want one altogether, or if you wanted to add a thickness there. There's the options there to change the colors for that as well. These particular colors for this background, as I'm calling it, BK for background for short, have three different options for colors, but they're solid colors. They don't have the gradations like the top part. So a little bit about the top. If you hit the opacity, if you move it right up, you'll notice that now there's a second overlaying Truchet pattern on the top. I can offset that so that it has its own pattern. I also have this option to change parallel direction, and the reason why I did the parallel direction is because then they can work in tandem. So if I turn on the offset background, they move together as parallel, right? But then if I hit the offset background, it will be offset from the original. I see that there's a bug there I need to fix. I'm going to make them so that they're both moving in parallel, but they're offset from each other. However, because this is set to parallel direction, there is no parallel direction right at this moment. It should be moving at the same time, but it's not. I'll fix that. Because I have offset background, I can turn offset background off, right? And so now they're both in the same space. They're not moving in parallel, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my options to change the speed, which is down here, actually, I'm sorry. So then I have the option to move the background. So now I can have this moving, top to bottom, or bottom to top, and then move it the opposite directions, right? And you can speed this pretty crazily if you wanted to. I wasn't sure what was a good speed. I figured, most people are probably going to want to be like, somewhere within here. But then this could also be audio reactivity, right? So then you could have like this set up, and you could move this like 0. So it gives you that option so that you have this kind of audio reactive, movement. So it's going the opposite direction as well as the music is playing. So I was playing around with that. There's other options that are quite nice. You may have a need to change the thickness. You have the option to change the thickness of those lines. There's the color options. You also have this ability to make it horizontal with the colors or vertical with the colors, as well as the radial. There's also the option for G color curve, which is the curve of the gradation going from white to black. So I gave all the different options just in case. There may be cases where you want it to bleed out further, and if it's still not enough, there's options here to change the base and the midpoints and the ratios. That will give you, these are basically just the levels to change the color of those gradations. So it just gives you an additional option to make it more granular, where you want your whites and your darks. It allows you to kind of control that gradation a little bit more. The other things that are quite nice about this is also there's the mix mode at the very top. It gives you the option to do all kinds of crazy stuff if you so choose to. to mix and match your Truchet patterns. This is what you would get. So this would work good for a mask, right? You could basically set this back to alpha, for instance, and you could, take that out. And then we could remove the outline if we so chose to. And now we just have a straight mask, right? So then I could go background color, turn this to white. And so now I could use this as my alpha channel, and it would basically move to the beat of the music. I also have the options for transport beat, right? And also the option for metronome, because I've got a couple friends who use metronome. But the ability to randomly generate the pattern is the name of the game. So I thought this was visually interesting. Once again, you have the option to change the curve. So one side of the curve is, more square and the other side is rounded. So that was a really interesting, take on this. And the ability to, round it completely or square it off completely is it's up to you. All right, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Have any questions, comments, complaints, concerns, let me know in the comments or get in touch with me. Jacob Mesick, MESICK, @gmail.com. Thank you very much for your time and have a great morning.